8, 9 years old. I started with some basic plastic models and moved up from there to control line models, and then got into a little bit of RC before becoming a teenager and involved in a lot of other extracurricular activities where modeling went to the wayside. I got back into the hobby in 2008, 2009. Primarily, I got started back in the hobby doing custom models for Real Flight Simulator, and then decided to get back into real models. It's been a very fun and rewarding experience. I've always been very good with my hands. I have always enjoyed the challenge of modeling, but I also very much enjoy the history of aviation. What that has been able to do is able to reach out to people and express my genuine curiosity. And it's always fun when someone expresses interest in yourself. When I approach people about their aircraft, when I would go to full-scale events, it was exciting for them to take the time and share with me the history about the particular airplane, their experience, their service, their military service, and also the many fun stories that go along with all of those things. When I got back into the hobby, I didn't have a whole lot of skills, and a lot of people that look at my aircraft when I take them to events, they're surprised at the level of detail that I provide in the models, let alone the level of finish work. It's taken me several years to acquire the skills to do some of those things, and I always tell people the exact same thing. If you want to learn how to do something, you have to just be excited about it and do it one thing at a time. And that's really what I'd like to share about today and give you a few examples of. I'll start with something that people seem to think is pretty challenging, and it can be. It's intimidating. What you're looking at here is it's called a plug. So we do something in the hobby, and when you get drones, sometimes you get a canopy that is vacuum formed. It's just plastic that's in a very specific shape. So that has to come from somewhere. So you start with a shape, and then you use plastic to, it essentially partially melts, not completely, but it partially melts. And then you pull a vacuum over top of the part that you're trying to mold. So this was my very first experience trying to do that. Actually, this was my second. And I just want to point out a few things. Number one, that this plug, it has a plywood base and a plywood backing, because I didn't know exactly what orientation, because I was still learning, I was still new. And the rest of this is foam. And then after I made the foam shape, I covered it in fiberglass with epoxy. And you can sort of see some of the little highlighted spots where the primer is a little bit thin, and that was in an effort to make things as smooth as possible. But I want to point out that when you look at this plastic up close and you rotate around it, and as you see my face through it, you can tell that there are a lot of dimples and wrinkles and imperfections. From about 5 feet away, it looks pretty good, but up close, it just does not look that great. So that leads me to today. So what you're looking at here is another plug. This is a plug for my current project, which is a P-51. I'm trying to make my own spinner that goes on the propeller. And what I've done is used a 3D print, but I have gone through and very meticulously sanded out all of the striations. I filled it in with some automotive body filler, and then lots of high build primer, sanding, more primer, sanding, high build primer, sanding, wet sanding. It's a lot of work, but I think the result is much, much better. You can see from the reflections that this is much smoother in finish. And when you look at The pull that I've made, this isn't a great pull. I have a couple of imperfections that I need to work out still in my technique for the pull, but you can tell overall, especially as you look at my face through it, this is a much more high quality part. Now I'm going to take this pull and put them right next to each other and rotate them around so that you can see how smooth this part is compared to this part. So those are some of the things that you can do with vacuum pulling. But I show these to you as a demonstration of how you can continue to evolve in the hobby, evolve in anything in life, really. But, you know, when I first started doing this, it was okay. It wasn't great, but I stuck with it. And I looked for opportunities to learn and to grow and to get better, because you can always improve no matter what you're doing. I've got another example of this. So years ago, this was actually my first vacuum pull. This canopy right here is very, very simple. But this was my first experience in fiberglassing foam with epoxy. And you can see all inside is, it's just pink insulation foam that I've hollowed out and using magnets for a hatch. And this airplane no longer flies, and it's been through many crashes as well. It goes very, very fast, but it's kind of heavy. And the reason I point this out is that in fiberglassing, there's a balance between strength and weight. So if you have too much weight in the epoxy, then the airplane has to fly faster to overcome that weight. And this is a result of that example. As I've grown in the hobby over the years, I've developed newer techniques. And this is another example of fiberglassing. This is using the same kind of fiberglass cloth, only I've applied it with water-based polyurethane. With water-based polyurethane, you're applying the fiberglass cloth to the surface, but you're not looking to add strength. You're only looking for a surface finish. While the substrate underneath the fiberglass here is wood instead of foam, you still have the same kind of surface finish, the smoothness that you're looking for. The consequence is that this is a much lighter finish. So I don't have to add additional power to the airplane. This is also a smoother finish compared to that one, in that I've taken more time to prepare the surface before I laid the fiberglass down. Again, evolution, learn more, continue to refine what you do, and the results that you can get from it are pretty outstanding. That model has flown twice now, so it's to the point just about where it needs to be painted and finished, panel lines, rivets, details, all sorts of fun things. Now, these are some basic examples of like simple skills that you guys can do yourselves. I'm going to go into something a little bit more advanced, perhaps maybe a little bit more along what some of the younger people do these days. For those who don't know, this little blue board here is an Arduino board. And you can get these little tiny computers really, really cheap. This one was $6. And for the current project that I'm working on, it's a scale model of a World War II era fighter, the P-51 Mustang. And the retracts that I have for it, they use pneumatic pressure, so air. They use pressurized air to make the wheels go up and down. And one of the things that I've noticed in other larger scale models that have these kinds of retracts, and I've experienced it even myself, is that when you get a model out in the sun and you pressurize it with air, with the hot sun, the air, of course, expands. This is something basic that we learn in school, right? So with that expanding air, it also subsequently increases the pressure that's in this really small system. So with that increase in pressure, there's more stress on the system and it exposes more potentials for weakness, which are leaks. So some of these airplanes, while the airplane is in flight, it will lose pressure, and then the landing gear cannot come down and they can land safely. So to mitigate that, there's lots of different things that other people can do. One of them is get a type of retract that is called spring air, where you use the air to pull the landing gear up, but if you lose pressure, they will automatically deploy down. Well, on a P-51, they have these inner gear doors that fold down to let the wheels come out before the main landing gear goes up. So if I were to use spring airs, those would either break or possibly get damaged or just not come down at all, and there'd be big problems, and I wouldn't really know. So I developed this little circuit board on mostly, well, the idea was on my own, but I used a lot of help from people online. It has a sensor here that I plug a tube to from the pressure system, and it measures the pressure within the model. So when I go to have my landing gear go up or down in my radio, I can automatically program if there's a failure in pressure, it'll automatically sense the pressure dropping. And so with the programming in my radio, it will automatically sequence my landing gear to go down. Just a little effort to have safety in my model, because I've had a couple of instances where things have been questionable. Last year, or no, not, yeah, it was last year, I was flying at an event and I experienced some minor signal interference on my model, and the model looked like it was going to go into the line of spectators. It's a 15-pound model airplane going at about 70, 80 miles an hour. This is really going to hurt somebody. As soon as that happened, I got control of the airplane again and immediately dropped the landing gear, made a circle around the field, and landed because I didn't want to risk it happening again. This was an event with around 5,000 people. And so the likelihood of something bad happening was pretty great if it were to lose control. So lesson there is definitely do what you can to fly as safe as possible, but also think ahead as you're building something. What are you doing actively as you build it to make it as safe as you possibly can for other people to enjoy? I have a couple of other things here. Another Arduino project. I do not get along with software. I am not a software guy. I'm good with my hands, something physical, and to learn how to do all this programming stuff was a very big challenge for me. But I've been able to use that skill in something else. This allows me to use another speed controller from another manufacturer to get telemetry data and spit it to my radio system. This will read telemetry data from a Castle ESC and spit it out to my FR Sky radio. Super handy because I use my telemetry to make sure that I'm monitoring all the systems as closely as possible while I'm flying. I do lots of crazy stuff. This is the propeller for the Mustang, where I have a functional collective pitch prop. So that's exciting as well. And all of these things you can do on your own with help of other people. Again, refining the skills that you have, getting better at skills that you want to have, and just take one thing at a time. So that's really all that I had to share immediately, Alex. I'm happy to take any questions from anyone if there are any.
Yeah, that was excellent. Kids, just put your questions in the chat and we'll take a look and see what Josh has to answer. Thank you for that too. That was really good. So just put your questions out in the chat and we'll see.
How many years have you been building for? So I really got back into the RC world in about 2009 for sure. So 11 years. To make one airplane, how long would it take? So it depends on the airplane and the level of detail. Generally speaking, a very involved and highly detailed model takes me around 6 to 8 months. Some people it takes a little bit longer. Some people even takes shorter. But for me, that's about average for a very involved model. Um, Expensive, yes. So I try to do things as cheaply as possible. Obviously, there are some things that you don't want to cheap out on, particularly radio equipment. Um, for example, this is about $200 worth of equipment. I'm using off-the-shelf helicopter parts, but the motor is a Flight Test Monster radial and a Hobby King digital servo to control the collective. The blades are from Motion RC. It's for their Spitfire because I couldn't find the right shape of blades and the size. Big compromise. Um, the spinner back plate, that is a Hyperion. And then I have a couple of custom pieces. The shaft that goes through this entire apparatus, that was a custom piece. It's hollow to allow, it's hard to see, this wire here. There, you can see it now. So that moves. That's what moves in and out. And then this piece down here that holds the grip arms, that's custom 3D printed aluminum. And that was about $50. So all of this together is about 200. But if I were to look for like a 4-blade heli rotor head, on average, they were around $300 just for that assembly. By using off-brand, off-the-shelf parts, doing things myself like pressing out the swivel bearing for the collective and the helicopter part and putting a straight radial bearing, doing the 3D printed aluminum piece as opposed to doing CNC aluminum. Someone had quoted me a CNC aluminum piece, that one little piece, for another $300. So yeah, it can add up a lot, but again, I try to do things as cheap as possible just by doing them myself, and it's kind of a fun challenge too. um, let's see what's recent here. If I build a high quality model plane, do I need to code the speed controller myself, or can't you just buy it from some website? So my speed controllers, I have used a variety of speed controllers. For this model, I'm using a YEP ESC, which you can get these from Hobby King. Typically, these are used for model helicopters, and that's sort of why I chose it. But YEP can also be used for model airplanes. They have a very strong linear response. They're very good ESCs, but I've also used Castle ESCs. I've used the FR Sky ESCs that are based on BL Heli 32 firmware. And those are great because they spit out lots of telemetry data, which I love to use. I've used just generic stuff like the Turnigy Plush. It depends on what kind of model I'm going to be using, but yeah, off the shelf is pretty much all I've ever used. I don't want to make my own speed controllers. That's a lot of fine soldering work that I'm not necessarily the highest qualified person to do. What sensors do I use for my telemetry? So I use an FR Sky radio. I fly on an FR Sky or Free Sky Horus X10S. So the nice thing that I have with that system is that everything is open source. So you can make your own custom sensors, whether it's a voltage sensor, GPS sensor, a speed, an airspeed sensor, or any other sensor you can pretty much think of. In the past, I've used exclusively off-the-shelf sensors, so like current sensors, temperature sensors, RPM sensors. But with the BL32, BL Heli 32 firmware, you can get speed controls that will automatically tap into my receiver and just spit out the RPM, the temperature of the speed controller, my voltage, how much current I've used, all of that stuff. It just goes right straight to my radio. And I can log all of that data and look at it on a graph on my radio. It's part of the reason why I wanted the Horus, is so that I can have my log and then look at the telemetry of that log on my radio at the field. So I can adjust at the field and not have to like bring a laptop with me and offload all of that data just to look at it. How do you power it? Battery or combustion, I'm guessing. And what battery are you using? Battery power, is it DC or AC? So I am pretty much only an electric pilot. I do have one Glow airplane that I fly, just because this past year I've wanted to try. So I use DC batteries. They're lithium polymer batteries. I have little batteries. This is a 2200 3-cell graphene pack, and this is a 5000 4-cell graphene pack. But I also have 7,000 6-cell packs. So it really depends on the airplane, but they're all DC. They go to a speed controller, which essentially converts it to AC for the different phasing of the electric motors that we use in the hobby today. Alex, interrupt me if I'm going over time. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think we can do. I think we can fit in one more question, and we'll transfer it off to Romeo. So.
Oh, okay.
So one more question.
Do I incorporate any elements into my design that help the environment? That's a really good question. I don't. Mostly because I fly electrics, and flying an electric airplane is about as green as you can possibly be. You know, it's like the equivalent of going from a gas car to an electric car, in my opinion. Some people may disagree with me on that, but the materials that I use, for the most part, are biodegradable, with exception of the foam airplanes. When I do crash a foam airplane, I do as much as possible to make sure that every little piece of foam is picked up, even if I have to make multiple trips out to the crash site. I do very much care about the environment that I live in, but I think what's most important to me in terms of creating a model is making sure that it accurately represents an experience. If you make a connection with a person and then you start talking about environmental concerns, then you can actually make progress. Just bickering and arguing about differences of opinion doesn't necessarily mean you're going to accomplish much, in my opinion, and in my experience. I'm a scientist by profession, so you know, being able to take facts and figures and say, well, this is what's truth and this is what's not, it doesn't really work that way. You have to make relationships with people and establish trust before you can really start making change. So when I approach environmental impact, I'm doing as much as I can, and that creates an example for people. If someone wants to share with me something more I can do, I'm always welcome to listen to that, because I'm always, again, trying to do better each and every time that I do something.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Josh. Now, one final question before we move on. What would you say one of your number one safety rules is when you go fly?
Always check your control surfaces and the operation of your model before you take off. Always. I always make sure that my control surfaces are moving in the direction that I intend them to go. That usually tells me that I do have the right model selected, and that the radio is functioning, and that the servos that control those surfaces are also functioning, and that they're functioning in the right way.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to pass it off to Romeo, who's the Senior Director of Public Safety Integration at DJI.
All right, Alex, good morning, good afternoon, good evening across to everyone. I was so fascinated with Josh's presentation. I used to build airplanes, but unlike Josh, I'm not good with my hands, and my airplanes never turned out that beautiful or that fancy and incredible designs. But the fun of really doing what Josh is doing is just tremendous. I'm going to switch it to a little bit of a different topic, and that is drones and what drones are doing. And I have a little bit of a presentation for all of you, so I'm going to
Should be
go
able to
get
share.
that
So.
up. Oh, this is not what I wanted to show. Swap displays, that should do it. Here we go. All right. I am the Senior Director of Public Safety Integration here at DJI. And what I do, you will see in a second. It's a very fancy title, but there is a really good story to it. If you have any questions afterwards or want to stay connected, you also have some of my information right down there. Now, I have QR codes in my presentation. So if you have a smartphone, an iPad or an Android device, you can just point the camera on that smartphone and you get that information that's behind that QR code. And to make it even more interesting, if you want to see the entire presentation as a PDF file, you're going to use this QR code. So you can watch all the videos or all the additional pieces of information at some later point. All right. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. In 2014, there was a picture taken of me flying my Inspire 1 at the time along the coast here in California. You may have heard an accent. I was born and raised in Switzerland and I moved to California. But this picture ended up in a database where journalists can just go and grab that picture and put it to any sort of story. And oh boy, here's what happened. Suddenly, stories like drone knocks woman unconscious at Seattle parade and my picture is being used, making me look like I was the one doing it. Or drone war and my picture is being used. I can spy on people. Teens fly drones for first time. And this one I kind of like because it makes me look so much younger. But I think you're getting the idea what is happening here. Crazy drone stories in 2014, 15 were created. My picture was being used, making me look crazy. So I started photoshopping some of those crazy headlines with the only good picture that goes with something like drone follows woman from bar, crashes into her car, me flying kind of like an Inspire on my back. But a lot changed. In 2015, 16, we started to see drones become really helpful tools to public safety to help with natural disasters. And the theme changed from this crazy thing that flies in the sky to it becomes a tool for public safety to help save lives. And we saw that best last year, mid of April in Paris, when the beautiful Cathedral of Notre Dame caught on fire, and drones were an instrumental piece in order to contain that fire and save the building. And what I really love about this entire story is you can see there is a white van that the police had just acquired and outfitted with monitors inside, and they were live streaming the footage from the drone to those monitors that were in essence then the hub point for everyone to come and look at to make better and faster decisions. And the second piece that I really like here is that we have a female drone operator. I'm going to tell you something. Female drone operators, we need more. Why? Because they take a different approach in flying than us guys. And I'm going to stereotype it. When we guys get something new, we take it out of the box, we don't read the manual, we charge it up, and we fly it right away, even though we may not know or have the proper knowledge or all the safety aspects in place. A woman sometimes takes a very, very different approach and educates, reads through the manual, looks for rules and regulations before that first flight. So, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about my early days because that has very big relevance. If you are a Star Wars fan or a science fiction fan, as I am, then you know that this is Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars. Well, when I was 4 years old, I did my first helicopter flight. And the resemblance is pretty close to Anakin Skywalker, I wish at least. But what happened was I was very fascinated with space and space exploration. I grew up in Switzerland in this tiny town in the middle of mountains, surrounded by mountains. And my big wish was to someday work on a space mission. Well, I had this dream, but I first had to go through the military service in Switzerland. I moved to the United States. In 2002, I became US citizen. And then for almost 13 years, I worked for a NASA space project. And interestingly enough, my project was based just outside of where Josh lives, also in Maryland, at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. I was working on the Solar Dynamics Observatory, which is a satellite we built to observe the sun. And you think, well, why would we want to look at the sun? I mean, it's half of the day it's there. Well, depending on where you are. If you're north right now, you have potentially 60 days without sun, but we are looking at the sun to better understand it. And not only that, but to also understand its impact on Earth and our technology. So I joined DJI 6 years ago, exactly 6 years ago next week. And one of my first things that we did is we created a documentary about the early days of personal aerial imaging. Here's your first QR code. This is a really good learning document that's now available for free. It was done for lynda.com, which is now LinkedIn Learning. I highly recommend you take a look at this at some point because it really talks about the early people that used drones and where are they today. And in it is one of my best friends, Mark Johnson, and he uses drones for accident investigations. And together, way back in time, we did a lot of fun and interesting projects at a time when drones were really not as advanced as they are today. But what he's saying is we are in the midst of a technological explosion and revolution that is all being facilitated by the fact that we can have sophisticated cameras aloft. What that really means is we can gather data from the air that then helps us to do something differently, better, faster, more efficient. We're going to talk about that in a second. Drone solutions are the new generation of work. And you are all in a position that this technology could potentially be a career path for any or all of you. Look at this airplane that's in a hangar. It's going through maintenance. And if you look at the rear door and go just a little bit down, you can see that there's a drone flying right outside, right next to that airplane. And that QR code will get you to this video. Airplanes are now being inspected by the help of drones, making that task faster. And we are oftentimes so afraid of airplanes and drones to being in the same airspace, but they can be done safely. Obviously, this airplane is on the ground, not moving, and the drone is the one that is flying over the airplane. But the concept of both being able to be in the same space is really reality. All right, now, how safe are drones? And just yesterday, we released that information, and that can also be found with the QR code. And I'm just going to give you some highlights. Here in the United States, we have a fatal accident rate of approximately 1 per every 100,000 flight hours. So per every 1,000 flight hours, there is one accident that could potentially result in one or multiple deaths, unfortunately. In 2019, in the US, there were about almost 88 million drone flights with an average of about 7 minutes. So that means there were 10 6.3 million drone flight hours recorded in the US alone. That's a tremendously high number. And in also 2019 here in the US, there were 0 fatal drone accidents. So drones have really become the safest form of aviation. And that's a very, very bold statement to make, but it is one that there is data behind it. But now one can say, but Romeo, there is nobody in a drone. So if a drone has an accident or a crash, of course, nobody is dying. And that's very true. But we have other airplanes that have people inside in the airspace. We have people on the ground. And in fact, if we go back to space exploration, rockets with no people on board have killed more people than rockets with people on board. Unfortunately, we have lost people in both scenarios, but the point is that just because something is uncrewed doesn't mean it's 100% safe. So what kind of jobs are there out there? Well, there are solution providers. There are providers that they provide an add-on to a drone, for example, or software that's customized. There are channel partners that train end users that sell the equipment. And then there are, of course, the end users that are actively using that drone in their work, in their research, or in whatever they're doing. And we're seeing a need for drones across so many different categories, from public safety, energy, construction, infrastructure, as well as agriculture. And I'm going to give you a few examples of what is being done with drones. In energy, we're seeing wind turbine inspection, oil and gas inspection, nuclear power plants, solar plants, and power line inspection. All items were up to date, either sophisticated ground cameras or cameras on airplanes or helicopters are being used. In construction, we're seeing sites being mapped before a building goes up to see what it will look like. We're seeing building inspection, real estate marketing, as well as insurance claims, because it's so much safer to fly a drone over a roof and look at a damage than sending somebody up a ladder that could potentially fall off that ladder. Infrastructure, we're seeing bridge inspection, a telecom, these big towers, the transportation network review, can we do better traffic patterns? And in mining, drones are also extremely helpful. In agriculture, we're able to look at just certain areas of a field and potentially spray that area only with pesticides or with something to help that area grow better. Forestry management, irrigation management, so that we use less water, more targeted to the areas that need water. In essence, we're increasing the output of a field, and that is tremendously impactful. And then public safety, and this is where I work. My focus has really been in integrating drones into public safety so that they can help our fire departments, our police departments, our search and rescue units to do their job safer, faster, and more efficient. And here are just two of our partners. One is on fire in Southern Manatee in Florida, and one is on the police side in the UK in Lincolnshire. And they have some very interesting things to say. Chief Gold has been able to use drones in hazardous environments a lot, and it has helped them to ensure that they get the situation under control faster without risking injury to his people. And Sergeant Templeman says that thanks to the drone, they have saved somebody's life one night during a bad car accident. And in fact, Lincolnshire has continued to save lives with drones. And almost every week, they have an amazing story about how drones have helped the people in Lincolnshire in the UK. In fact, over 500 lives have now been saved by drones, and those are just the documented cases. And we created a map, a drone rescue map that you can get to from this link that is updated all the time, and we can see the stories behind those rescues, and it is fantastic. We will be seeing more and more of these rescues. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about a natural disaster I deployed to exactly 2 years ago, and that was here in California, just a couple hours north from where I live. And that was the Camp Fire in Paradise. We almost lost 19,000 structures. 85 lives were lost in that wildfire. Tremendous damage was done. And we went up there with 16 public safety drone teams from fire to law enforcement to really work together in doing post-inspection, gather data, also help with search and recovery efforts. Obviously, when you have such a big team, you got to plan all the flights properly, and then use available software, use available ways to create these flight paths, to do the mapping, to do the search, to do the visualization of the damage. And obviously, when you operate with battery, that's always a challenge, keeping the power alive in the field, because the entire area had no power due to the wildfire. And so we had to really think smartly on how we are charging, how to get the batteries to all the teams. It was a constant effort just to keep all of our equipment powered up. And that includes your smart devices that we use to fly our drones. And from the air, everything looks very different. Our task was to really tag all the locations where we have a home that burned, where we have a vehicle that was burned, so search teams could go in and look if there were any victims or survivors in the area. And we're talking about a very, very large and widespread and sometimes difficult to get to area. What we then created are these really incredible data sets that have lots of information that get uploaded online, so that the residents that were evacuated within a couple of days can see what their communities look like. And I'm going to show you a little bit of what we did. So we did some of these 360-degree visualizations of areas all across that town of Paradise. And the nice thing is you can move around and you can see and look at very different pieces, because this is a 360-degree image that's also very high resolution. We created these geo-referenced videos where on the left side you have the video from the drone, and on the right side you have the map where the drone is flying over that red line. And that's extremely helpful because you may not recognize this area because all the landmarks, all the buildings have just burned down. So everything almost looks the same. We have also created these before and after maps. So very high resolution data. The before map was done with satellite data, and now we're zooming in on the town of Paradise and zooming in on this one community. And I have this slider and I can go back and forth and see the before and the after. And you can already see there's a huge difference. Now we're going to zoom in a little bit more. The satellite imagery gets more blurry because it's not as high resolution, while our drone footage still is very high resolution, and we can move even closer and even get more details. And this kind of data is still, to this day, 2 years after, being used for insurance claims, for rebuilding purposes. So really data that is tremendously helpful. And you can see you don't see any data clarity out of the satellite data, but the drone data still gives us a lot of information. And then automation, machine learning, so that the machine, the computer learns to identify what is a burned building, red, circled red, or what is a unburned building, which are outlined in green. That means we can now fly a drone over a neighborhood, and after the flight, it will give us the data immediately. That saves us so much time, because previously we had to go and walk this entire community and mark every single address on a piece of paper. So I hope I've given you just enough insight into what drones can do, especially with a focus on public safety. And now let's see if we have some questions. There is one about how will the airspace be kept clean in the future? That's a very good question. So obviously, we have already ways to keep bigger airplanes and helicopters in a safe environment through control towers that has technologies with radar, communications to manage all of that. And something very similar, but much more modernized, will help to keep drones as well as airplanes in the same area in a safe distance. And a lot of automation will be implemented. There will be a network that communicates to all these devices that are in the airspace. And it's not going to take very much longer until this really happens. Who designed the drone? Well, we have a very large team of engineers that help design the drones with the input that people like myself and end users give us. What is important? What is important when we go out and do a fire or a search and rescue mission, or when we go out and do an agriculture mission? Very, very different scenarios. Let's see. There is an NASA project planned for using drones to clear away satellites in Airspace also. And yes, there is also a drone on the way to Mars that will very soon land on Mars and then fly on Mars. And I mean, that is just amazing that we're not only sending ground robotics to other planets, but we're sending now drones, the first drone to another planet. To me, that's so exciting. Let's see, how long did it take to design the drones on average? Well, that really depends. Luckily, we have a very big team of people that help design drones. And so it takes a few months and a couple more months to do proper testing, and then another couple months to do field testing. So within a year, you could have a brand new drone ready to go to market. Will drones replace CCTV cameras in a few decades? I don't think so. You know, we hear a lot about all these great drone ideas with delivery in extremely challenging environments like London, for example. You know, you have high-rise buildings and you have, you know, 30 people or 30 families living in a big building. How do they fly to the right family's door, or where do they drop them off? I don't think we will see the streets full of drones flying through. But we will be seeing more drone deliveries. We will be seeing more drone flights in the future, helping us with jobs that are either potentially dangerous or that need to happen faster. Do you think drones will be able to directly save people? For example, lifting injured people in the future? Absolutely. That is going to happen. We already are seeing drones that can lift a person, and we will see these ambulance type drones fly to a location and potentially airlift a person. Absolutely. Can drones be used to fumigate the society? The way I read this one is, can drones be used for bad purposes? And unfortunately, yes. Any technology can be used for bad purposes, for purposes it was not intended to. We're trying to limit that as much as possible with technology again, with education, and with also other technology to potentially counter the original technology. But it's also going to be up to all of you to ensure that our future consists of technologies and ways that are being used to help all of us. Do you see possibility of sentient drones? I'm not quite sure what you mean with this, Sean. let's go to another one. Where do you get a drone license in the UK? So every country right now has slightly different regulations when it comes to drones. And there are drones for the hobbyists, for the people that just want to have fun, fly drones. And then there are drones that are used for commercial purposes. And they sometimes have different requirements, potentially different licenses. Maybe you have to take a test. So wherever you are, check with your local aviation authority and see what are the rules, regulations in my country if I want to fly a drone for fun or if I want to fly a drone for commercial purposes. Can they be released in the wild for unknown people that are lost? Yes, absolutely. And that's a huge benefit because we also have the ability to put a thermal camera on a drone. And a thermal camera looks for heat signature. So imagine you are out lost and you're in a cold environment and the drone is flying over at night. They can't see anything, but we can see heat signature. And a lot of people have been rescued thanks to drones and thanks to thermal cameras looking for heat signatures. All right, let's do one more. Do you think that drone technology will speed up the idea of having a settlement on Mars? Yes, I do think so, because it's all about data. And if we get more data and better data, we get a much better understanding of a situation. Similarly, if we can navigate on Mars further distances, look at things from a different perspective, we can understand the environment better. And therefore, we can also speed up the potential process of creating a future settlement on another planet. So I absolutely believe that drones are helping us on so many different levels to get a better understanding of our environment, to help us do a job safer and faster, and to help save people and keep us more safe.
All right, Romeo, thank you so much for that. But I have another question for you just before we transition off. Do you think that drones are going to be a standard tool for public safety? And if so, how long will it take, as well as who's going to train them?
Oh, Alex, that's a great question. Yes, it has already become a standard tool. Just here in the United States alone, we have almost 2,000 departments now that have a drone program. And just to give you an idea, in the United States, we only have 500 departments that have a helicopter or a fixed wing aviation unit. But we already have 2,000 departments that have a drone program. So yes, drones are becoming a standardized tool in public safety. There's still lots of work to be done, but it is happening. And training, just like with everything else, is a key component. We still are learning on how to best utilize drone technology in all of those various environments public safety operates under. So training standards are being developed so that everyone, if a firefighter in Maryland wants to fly a drone or a firefighter here in California wants to fly a drone, they get the same type of training. Because if the two of them meet each other at a natural disaster, both need to have the same kind of skill, do the same type of mission, communicate the same way. That is key. And it will take a little bit longer, but all of the pieces are being put in place right now. And the future engineer, the future explorer, the future drone operator, that is you potentially, will come into this world with still questions. It will still take some time to get all of this fully figured out, but we are on the way of doing that, and we will need all of your help too.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Romeo. Now we're going to pass it off to our third guest for today, which is Evan Turner, heads up FPV. He's the two-time multi-GP champion, as well as he's the founder of Fly 533. So welcome aboard. And
hello, guys.
You're ready.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. So first of all, I just like to say good morning or good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you guys. I applaud you guys seriously for being here. I am a 17-year-old. I am a professional, or I have a few, I guess, professions, but one of them is I'm a professional drone racer. That's what this nerdy looking jersey is. And so I'm a professional drone racer, and drone racing and drones themselves have done a lot for me over the past few years. Before I go into anything, I just want to really kind of push that me being a 17-year-old, I'm no different than any of you guys. I go to high school. I'm a senior. I go to public high school. I go to my football games on Friday night. I mean, I have physics class. I miss homework assignments. I do all of that. And I'm just a totally normal 17-year-old. But I think I've gotten lucky a few times and maybe have worked hard to try and pursue a few things that I'm really passionate about, and that's what's gotten me to where I am today. But again, before I go into anything, you guys are no different than I am, and you are totally capable of doing things of this nature and pursuing things like this. It doesn't matter if it's drone racing or anything drone related at all, but just you guys being here shows that you guys have that spark and that drive to where you could somehow or take that and pursue it into something of your own kind of thing someday. So I'll just get started to tell you a little bit who I am, what I've done, and what I would like to do. And if you guys ever have any questions about who I am or what I do, feel free to just stop me, put it in the chat anytime, and I'm happy to answer questions. But I'll start off. So my name is Evan Turner. I'm 17 years old. I go to Maryville High School, which is here in Maryville, Tennessee. And I started flying remote control airplanes when I was 6 years old. So that was over 11 years ago. And I started flying remote control airplanes just because my dad got me one for Christmas, okay? And me and my dad had a good time. We were flying it around, and I started doing it competitively, which was we were flying remote control airplanes competitively, and actually won my first national championship flying remote control planes at 11 years old. And that was all of this, regardless of how many races I've won or anything like that, I always try and say that it's not about the races you win or anything like that, but it's just the principle of you worked hard for something and you were able to see the repercussions of that and find that achievement, okay? And it's if you work hard and you do it strategically and you are you think everything through and don't throw it all away. You know, it's very easy to get so far and then make a couple stupid mistakes and all that hard work goes away. So it's very important, and that shows a lot towards maturity as you get older. It's very important to pace yourself and maintain that drive and see that end goal at the very end, knowing that I've put all this work into this point and I need to be very careful at this point, because once you get closer to the top, people are going to be, you have that target on your back. Everybody wants to be where you are. And I think it's very important that you maintain that pace and you maintain that drive and kind of realize in the position you're at to where that you can achieve that goal. You just have to really be careful doing so. But basically at about 4 or 5 years ago, I actually got into drone racing. I had a local friend. He's actually an aerospace engineer at the University of Tennessee right now. His name was Sam. He's a few years older than me, and he showed me the very first racing drone. Okay, and I thought that was super cool. I obviously had a RC background prior, and I got involved through that. Now, after that, I started getting into racing. I'm an extremely competitive person. I compete way too much, and I get way too involved in any sort of competition all the time. But I started drone racing. And next thing you know, I was at the multi-GP national championships, okay? And that is what, if you guys don't know, multi-GP is like the grassroots, like the drone racing league in the United States and now globally, really, for anyone and everyone can join and be on and fly with multi-GP. So I was able to go in there. I, again, had to work extremely hard to try and to beat all these guys. When you guys will realize as you get older, or when you do anything, I mean, if you guys play anything from playing basketball to playing Fortnite, you guys know that everyone is trying to be the best that they possibly can be. And everyone is, there's no matter how hard you're working, there's always going to be that guy who's trying to work 1% harder than you. And that person, you have to think, if you want to be the best at something and you want to really buckle down, you find something you're passionate about, you find something that you want to do in life. I mean, and that goes to if you want to be a doctor or you want to work at McDonald's, that's everybody's going to be trying to take that position away from you. So it's really about buckling down, seeing, kind of making a plan for yourself. And that's what I kind of had to do. I knew that drone racing itself was extremely, extremely competitive. And all of these guys were working way harder than me. I was a kid. I still am a kid. And all these older guys who are much more experienced than me and much more mature than me are trying to do the exact same goal that I am. So I had to really kind of grow up as a person, to kind of realize that, like, when you get out on the racetrack, and this will kind of go into something I'll talk about later, and you go into the business world, people don't care how old you are. You could be an 8-year-old or you could be a 58-year-old. Nobody's going to care. It's just you are out there, you're on the same playing field as they are, and that's huge. And that's something that I think a lot of kids, and that's what I think has held back a lot of kids to go out and start their own business or go out and be the best at Fortnite or whatever, is that it takes a very special, you have to kind of understanding that people don't really, I mean, as kids, we grow up and people kind of forgive you for, oh, he's just a kid, he does this or this. Once you get into the real professional world, that doesn't matter anymore. Nobody cares. Everybody's has the same goal as you, and everyone is trying to reach that same goal as you, and they're willing to, and especially when you get into the higher tiers of that, they're trying to do that at the same degree you are and willing to do whatever it takes to get there. So after I won in 2018, that was huge for me. I had worked so hard to do that, and I was very fortunate to be able to get that, and I was so happy. But after that, that's kind of I mean, there's so many inspirational speeches on like YouTube, whatever, about like you can either stop there or you can go and write your own record. Okay. And that's really what I really wanted to do, is that you can stop at that, oh, I won one time, like I did it, I hit that goal, and I hit the peak, but you can make your own peak to where you can write your own record book. And I think that's huge. Not about, and this is just my personal experience, and none of you guys have to be the fastest drone racer in the world or the best drone engineer in the world, but you can pursue that and take that same knowledge and put it into so much other things in life, pursuing anything you want to do. And I think that's huge. If you get that job that you wanted, or you get that grade you wanted, I think, why not go for more? Why not join make your own club, make your own business, find that passion and really pursue it? Because if you can find that passion and turn it into something to where you can make a career out of it, you will be the happiest person out there. And I truly believe everyone has a passion, whether that's video games or being a doctor, whatever. Everyone has that, and it's key not to lie to yourself about that. And it's very easy to say, well, my passion is to be an accountant because I love being an accountant. And you might bias yourself because accountants make good money, and accountants have this, that, and the other, but accountants have a desk job and they love doing that, and that's great. I think accountants are awesome. They're obviously a necessity for the societies in general, but it's very important not to lie to yourself and to really see, when you come home from school or when you come home for work, what is it that you want to go do? What is it that, like, you relax and then you go out and do something? And I think if you can turn what that hobby or that passion is into a career or anything like that, it doesn't matter whether you're making $5 an hour doing that or $1 million an hour doing that. I think people need to realize that being happy is not about money. I mean, money can make a lot of people happy, but I mean, you'll hear 1,000 times that some of the most wealthy people in the world are some of the least happy. And that's from someone who might not have the most money, and that money would fix all of their problems. That might be hard to understand, but you have to think, it's just like when you get like a new Xbox, and you get that Xbox and you open it and you're like, this is the coolest thing ever, and you never want to get off, and you want to play on it for you want to play on 24/7. Okay. And then that's really awesome. You love it. But then after that month, it's like, oh, well, I really enjoy my Xbox, but like it's not as like I don't have that same rush, at the very beginning. And I think that goes the same way with starting a job. You might find a job that makes you great money, and you'll say at the very beginning, oh, I get my paycheck and it's awesome. You can go out and you can buy a car, you can buy a house, you can do this, that, and the other. And then you acquire all those things that you kind of want. And then in the first, say, 5 years, but then you have to work for the next 40, and you have to get out of work knowing that, yes, you have that money, but money will only get you so far. And if you're not enjoying it, then why would you even be doing that? And I've talked to several people that have kind of mentored me and saying that they would rather be doing what they love and doing what they have a passion for, making a fourth of the money and living in a house half the size and doing what they love than going out and working the desk job that pays of course you need to pay the bill, that's huge, but that gives them that extra money, and they're not happy because you have to think about, so they always talk about how you split up your day. You can talk about how you split up your life, but I personally like to talk about how you can kind of split up your day. That 8 hours a day, that's a third of the day. That's you working. And then you put that times like 50 years, that is a significant amount of time that you'll be working. And if you're not truly loving that, and that's not truly what you have a passion for, then that will be miserable. So, and I know I've kind of ventured off of the whole drone racing thing, but this is, I'll kind of talk about the things that I was fortunate enough to do, and kind of that same advice that I've taken from other people and kind of done with myself. So I have always loved drones, like I said, and that has gotten me eventually, after winning the 2019, so I won 2018, and then I was fortunate enough to win 2019. I was featured a spot on the Drone Racing League. And what the Drone Racing League is wrong way. Here's the logo here. The Drone Racing League is a drone racing league on its professionals. So we are all fully professional pilots, much like NFL, NBA, MLB, etc. Professional pilots, and we fly drones professionally, and that is not only my dream job, my passion, that I come home and I practice the simulator, or I fly my drones and practice to get as best as I can, not for money or not for any of that, but just because I love doing it. And I have such great friends that I've made through doing that. And then that is, I think that's huge. But I was able to get on the DRL, which means, and that show, for those who don't know, I've seen a couple chats in here, are you famous? Blah. But the Drone Racing League is a show on NBC. So this is not like your YouTube stream you see. This is a show that is on the NBC Sports. We are on TV, live television, and we are racing for real money. We're racing in front of real people, in front of real sponsors. DRL just announced they were sponsored by Body Armor, and they were sponsored by Respawn gaming chairs and Champion, like the clothing brand. And that is incredible that they've been able to achieve that. And we have to kind of recognize behind that is that not only is that good for the sport of drone racing, but that's good for drones in general. I know that this is National Drone Safety Awareness Week, and I think the big argument you kind of see is that drones, there's two sides, and the drone could be kind of a safety hazard in sorts, or drones, there's the educational aspect behind it. And what I'm kind of wrapping up around is that I've learned all this knowledge, or anything that I've acquired, I've learned all of that through drones and drone racing, and that passion that I found through drones. And I would not have been able to accomplish or do any of the things that I've been able to do if it wasn't for that passion and love I found for what drones have given me. You know, I've been sitting in my basement for hours on end trying to figure out how to program this drone to work correctly, and how to build this one. And kind of leading into my next topic, I have at last year, November 14th of last year, I started my own business, and I kind of was in a unique position after winning 2 years of multi-GP drone racing, and I was brought onto the DRL, And I kind of wanted to kind of pursue that next thing. And that was kind of back what I was saying. I wanted to not hit the peak that everybody thought was the epitome. You never want, I don't want to be on that playing field that the rules are written, that this, you get here and that's the top, you kind of disappear after that. I didn't want to be that. I wanted to kind of create more of a legacy for myself, and hopefully my end goal is I want drones and the drone community to grow and be as accessible as possible for anyone and everyone in the world. We always talk about, we'll be talking at races like, who do you think the fastest drone racer in the world is? And my argument to that is, I think the fastest drone racer in the world has never flown a drone before. And that's just because it may not be accessible in all countries, and that may not be the most accessible thing to get into. It may not be the easiest thing to get into. And it's the same way for, I mean, you've heard that through, like, who do you think the best engineer in the world is? And the best engineer in the world might not have a TI-84 calculator that I'm sure you guys use or will use as you kind of move your way through school. And I think that's huge. And that there's so much potential in the world that is not kind of used and utilized because it might not be accessible. And there's third world countries, of course, in the world. And I think it would be so incredible if we could take drones as an educational, like, gateway into maybe finding the next engineers, finding the next people who can make DJI and all of these amazing companies that can help develop technology to save lives. And of course, public safety is huge. And if drones can be utilized to not be some thing that everybody's worried about public safety because of drones, but if drones can be used to help make everyone safer and help find those burning buildings and help in natural disasters and help in police situations, I think that could be huge. And all it takes is a few people who are willing to go out, kind of make a few risks, and come out and make these presentations to where you can get that drive and that spark behind young people such as yourselves to do this. And I would love to motivate you guys to go and do this. And again, I said, it's not about drone racing or even drones, but if you have that passion, go out and do it. You can go out and inspire people to do more things. And as young kids, everyone is kind of, in my opinion, they are intimidated or scared by the real world kind of, as a kid, you're kind of told there's the adults, they tell you what to do, you go to school, you follow the lines, you'll be successful. But fear is what keeps kids away and keeps younger people away from going and doing their own thing, because they don't see there's no criteria and there's no rule book for how a kid can go out and achieve what he wants to do away from all the things the normal path. And as long as you can see that it's possible and you're capable of it and you have that drive and that passion to do it, it doesn't matter. You can go out and you have that, and you can oh my gosh, I get excited talking about it. I seriously do. And if you can just buckle down and kind of realize that, yes, this is possible, and yes, you can find the right team and people who are willing to help you. And if you have a right idea and that passion for it, you can totally go and do things like that. So as I said, I started my company, Fly 533. We have, let's see, I brought a couple of drones to show you guys. So this is my racing drone that I recently placed. This year I placed second at the MultiGP National Championships. This was my third year running. And I was fortunate enough to take second this year, which I'm super excited about. But this is the drone that my company, 533, kind of created. And so we create the frame. That's what we create. We create the motors. So let's see here. Other way. That's my logo right here. As they said earlier, I go by Heads Up. And so this is a racing drone. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with this, but this is a high performance machine. We're talking 0 to 100 in less than a second, in no time. And this is something that I needed a racing drone to take me to the next level. And I didn't go ask somebody else to do it for me. Me and my partner in the company kind of went out and did it ourselves. And it started out as something small. We weren't going out there to be millionaires. That wasn't the goal. We were going out there we wanted to make a good product for ourselves. And that's what we did. We came out with this drone, and then we decided we'd toss up a website, and next thing you know, we have all these sales coming through. And then, you know, I have to start doing my own marketing because like, oh wow, this could be something. And I think that was kind of that turning point for me, was that I noticed that this is something I could totally do. This is something that anyone can do, and all I have to do is kind of go out and do it. If you just take that risk and you go out and do it yourself, you can, without a doubt. I mean, this will be a really funny analogy, but same difference to, say you're asking out a girl, you know, and what you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And that was kind of my analogy. If you have this idea or you have this passion, if you just sit there and let someone else, because like I said, competition is a real thing. And if you just sit there and don't say anything, competition will catch up, innovation will catch up, and you'll be surpassed and left in the dust in no time. But if you can get your foot in the door and you just say, why not? Let's go for it. The worst that can happen is no. Heck, just starting a business, saying that you attempted to start a business on a resume, that looks incredible. And even if it fails on the first day, you don't make one sale. If you just attempted it, you make a marketing scheme and you go out and you at least try. That will look so much better on your resume than that will look so good on your resume, even in comparison to being in the National Honor Society. And those are amazing things. But when you'll kind of start to realize as you get older, and here's my argument to that, and that you should try and do something unique, is that I had a conversation recently with a very close friend of mine saying that if everyone, say National Honor Society, that is of course something in the US where you can, if you reach a certain merit and you get the correct grades, then you can be in the National Honor Society, and that is huge. It is a very high honor. Now, say you're trying to apply for an honors engineering program. And his argument was, if everyone has that National Honor Society merit, then that is the equivalent to no one having it. Okay, and that if you go out and you follow that path that is written for you by X adult or X criteria, then that can potentially be you. You can be there and you work so hard to achieve this, and then you get to that top 1%, and you get to that top 1%, and once you make it there, everyone is fighting for that next 0.5%. And if everyone's going to have that National Honor Society, everyone's going to have the 4.0 GPA, everyone's going to have that. It's all about separating yourself, being unique to the fact where you can separate yourself and do what other people are afraid to do. And one of my favorite quotes in life is that you need to do what others can't so that you can achieve, or you can do what others won't so you can achieve what others can't. Okay, and that goes to show, go and make that business, go and try and start that business, go and try some new thing, try all these things to find what you're passionate about, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. I love that one too. That is a huge, I think so many people kind of like, well, so-and-so did it and it made it look so easy, and I just don't know. And I found myself, one of the biggest growing up points for myself was I kept complaining about I was very upset that I couldn't get the same grades that one of my good friends was getting in school. And I kind of took for granted how hard he worked to get those grades. And I think that's really big. If you're not going out there and putting in the time, and he was doing what others wouldn't, so that he could achieve what others couldn't. And that he was doing that over me. He was out competing me, he was outworking me, and he continued to get those grades, and he continued to do very, very well in life. And I think if you guys take that same knowledge and that same understanding about life and how it kind of works, you could go very, very far in life, and you can get that interview over someone who might have a little bit higher of a GPA than you, or who might have a few more achievements than you. And if you just go unique and you're willing to take that unique route and write your own path, then you can go really, really far in life. And again, not drone related, not engineering related, but just life related. And that's just the route I've taken. I've tried to go separate ways. I have been fortunate enough to have all these opportunities and get all these things, but it's kind of difficult. I've been in high school. Drone racing, as you guys probably know, if you go out and you have the baseball players, the football players, and then you have me who's, oh yeah, I'm a drone racer. It's not exactly the most cool thing in the entire world, but I was passionate about it. And who cares what all these other people think about it? If you go out and you are passionate about it, you love it, and you want to do that for the rest of your life, then who cares what anybody else thinks about it? You'll find your niche of people who love it and who have those same interests. Who cares what everybody else thinks? And that was kind of my outlook on it. Of course, now I'm on the DRL. I'm on NBC Sports, like once or twice a week. And all those same people who kind of didn't think it was cool then are kind of interested, and they hear about my business, and now they want a job at my business where I ship out orders every day. And I have we have 2 international warehouses where I have a warehouse in my basement that I work and pack orders every day. I employ kids from my school to come help pack orders while I come and fly for DRL and prepare for my future drone races. I have a warehouse in Germany where I have 2 people who work for me in Germany who help ship out orders there, and have a full European kind of marketing or just I have a warehouse, but community for my products in Europe, another continent, which is just crazy to me. But the only way I was able to do that was just because I took the first step. And I think that's huge. You will never make it to the finish line if you don't take the first step. So if you guys are timid or scared to do any of those things or anything like that, I just encourage you, take the first step. If it fails, it fails. That's that. But if you fail, as long as you don't get down on yourself and get upset with you failing, and you instead take that as a learning experience, then you will go extremely, extremely far in life. Don't get discouraged by the fact that you're failing. Learn from that mistake and apply it to anything and everything that you do in the future and your future endeavors. You'll find, at least that I've found, so many things that we do, whether that's your homework or your job, they all kind of coincide to one basic principle, and that's that if you go out and you are willing to do things that others aren't, willing to put in the time to do it, you can achieve it. And it's all about just being strategic about it, and it'll apply to so many things in life. And I just think that fear is what stops a lot of people from doing that. If you're afraid of that social stigma of, oh, like that's nerdy and that's not cool to do, or oh, it failed, that's the biggest mistake you'll ever make in life, and you'll regret it someday. And I was very fortunate to have the right people behind me to push me to do these things, and I was able to accomplish several things, and I'm trying to go further. And like I said, I don't want to stop here. I want to keep going. So I'm running out of time, but I want to answer a few of these quick questions that I saw come through. And so go ahead and toss them in. I'll answer them. I'll start from the ones that are coming up, or from the very beginning. Muhammad said, do you play Apex? I actually do. I enjoy Apex. It's a great game. I currently am not playing it right now. I kind of take myself away from video games when I'm trying to, especially in the middle of a drone racing season, trying to apply to that. But after December, it's all done, then I probably will be on Apex. Let's see, what other interests do you have? That's a great question. I think a big part of kind of finding a passion is you don't want to get burnt out on it. So I try and do as many things as I can. I'm big into bike riding. I'm big into running. My newest hobby, which I encourage all of you guys to try, is disc golf. You know, that's maybe not the most likely thing you would think a drone racer would like, but me and a couple of my friends went out, we bought some discs from Dick's Sporting Goods, and I've had the time of my life doing it. So much fun. I'll probably go, I have a DRL qualifying level after this. I'll actually, for those who are interested, I will be on NBC Sports tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time on NBC Sports. I'll be racing with the 11 other best pilots in the world, and we will be on. If you want to find out more about that, go to thedroneracingleague.com, and you can look up the whole 2020 season and see when we'll be live. But that'll be a big race then, and that's for a big seasonal point. So if you guys want to watch, see what I do, then you're more than welcome to go there. Are you famous? I don't want to pursue myself or say that I'm any of that, but if you want to look me up on Instagram, my name is HeadsUpFPV on Instagram, and you're more than welcome to check me out. Shoot me a DM. We can talk about, if you have any extra questions, more than welcome to shoot them my way. Looks like we got a lot coming in. What skills have you acquired from drone racing? I think there's so many, you can go the route of hand-eye coordination, et cetera, but I think there's so many life skills that I've learned from that, and of course, engineering and all that, programming, et cetera, that I've learned from drone racing. But I try and always look at the bigger meaning and try and look at the bigger topics that I've learned from drone racing to apply that towards my career and goals in life. So that is kind of what I've done. Let's see. Thank you. Do you get treated, this is a great question. Do you get treated differently for being a 17-year-old drone racer? Are there many other drone racers your age? And that is something I was interesting for me. Yes, I'm 17-year-old. I own a business. I'm a professional drone racing pilot, and I go to high school. So that does, in a sense, and that was something I was worried about and continue to be kind of timid about, is a lot of people you'll find once you kind of become somewhat successful will want to be friends with you just because they want to try and get on whatever train you're on. They want to be with you because they think you're cool because whatever you've done. It's very important to keep a close group of friends. Find those friends who are friends with you before any of that happens, and those are your real friends. If they stay friends with you from the beginning to the end, those are your true friends. Of course, I'm happy to be friends with anyone, and I love meeting new people, and I love experiencing all these things that I get to do with new people. But finding those true friends you can always go back to and know that are there for you, I think is huge. So whether or not I get treated differently, I don't know, but it's always important to look past what those people might be talking about, see, kind of don't judge a book by its cover type thing, and you can really get to know them and find great friends through that. And I'm very fortunate to have people who want to talk to me and want to kind of get to know me, and that's great. I love talking to people, like I said, and don't never turn down that. There's so many connections you can make in life just through talking to people, meeting new people. If you're in a position where people are trying to talk to you or begging to talk to you, never turn that down. Never shy away from it. Take as much time as you can to meet those people because it can lead to so many great things. Do you have a role model? Yes, I do. I have several role models. I think it's huge that another great quote that I love is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I try and surround myself around people that have already achieved the things I want to do, who have already started that business, who have already started that family that they've wanted and they've achieved, and they have that job that they got and they're happy. It's the diamond in the rough is those people who have the job they want, but are also have that job that they're passionate about and they go to work every day so excited about. And those are the people that I try and surround myself with and stay close with, because I want to get to that point someday, and I try and surround myself with them to try and learn from them, soak up all the information that they put out all the time. And those are my role models, those people who are where I want to be. How old do you have to be to become a drone racer? You could be, I know my brother is 11 years old. He flies drones. I actually was in South Korea. I went to a drone race in South Korea, and I was flying against on Team USA. I'm a part of the USA team, best pilots in the United States. We're in South Korea at a big drone racing competition, and I got beat by a 8-year-old South Korean pilot. His dad told him he'd buy an Xbox if he beat me, and the kid flew the race of his life. And I think that's really cool about FPV or drone racing pilot is once you put down the goggles, everyone is on the same playing field. I'm just as scared as an 8-year-old who can do a 10-second lap as I am a 60-year-old who can do an 8-second lap. And I think that's so cool when you put down the goggles, everybody's on the same playing field, and it's a very beautiful thing behind FPV. So any age. Do you have a thing that keeps you going? A mentor? I try and be a very driven person. I don't, like, as I said, I don't want to stop where people think is the top. I want to exceed that, and I want to keep going. So that drive of writing your own record book, writing your own legacy that's what pushes me forward. I want to be remembered as somebody who was able to go out and achieve these things and inspire other people to go and do their own thing. It doesn't matter what it is in, but if you can go out, not be afraid, take that first step and go out and do it. That is what pushes me, is that I know so many people are capable of doing things way greater than anything I've ever done. They're capable of it. They're just afraid to do it. And that is what kind of pushes me to do this, is because I know that if I work hard and accomplish these things, then I can get in front of more people and hopefully motivate more people to go out and take that risk. And that is, in a sense, what motivates me hugely. We're going to see. Keep going. These are great questions you guys are spitting out. Where are you going to be racing? Because of COVID-19, I'm sure all of you guys have been affected by this, and I hope you guys are safe and doing okay, as well as your family members as well over Thanksgiving. DRL is on a virtual league, so I'm actually flying on this computer right behind me on a simulator. That's essentially a video game, drone racing video game. It's $20 on Steam. You can buy it on Xbox, and I think it's coming soon on PlayStation. And I think it's 30% off right now because of Black Friday. And you can practice flying the DRL simulator, and that's flying the same exact simulator that I'm competing for thousands of dollars on. And you can compete and fly on that simulator yourself, and which applies directly to drone racing. Of course, we're not allowed to go out and travel right now because of COVID, so we're flying on a simulator, which I think is really, really cool. But that is so literally right here. This is my gaming chair. I sit here, I hold this controller, put on those headphones, and look at this monitor, and I fly right from here in front of all these millions of people on NBC. Let's see. Have you ever made your own drone like by yourself? Yes. These drones are all 100% homemade. We have the frames, we build the frame, we put the camera in them, we put the video transmitters, we put the drone, we put the motors on them, we put the props on them. We do all of our own soldering, and that is all something that I've had to learn how to do by myself. And that is a great, of course, learning experience in the future. If you want to be a handyman, fix things, you can learn so much of that being through electronics and drone racing from right in this great hobby. And I'm very happy to have done that. Let's keep going. Yeah, amazing questions. I'll tell him, do you have a mentor? My question. Okay. I'm glad I answered your question. What do your friends think about you drone racing? It's a little bit crazy to them, especially at the beginning. They, of course, they love cheering me on. I have very supportive friends and family. But now to where I'm on NBC, my friends will go out to like a Buffalo Wild Wings and they'll cheer me on super loud. And I love having that support. And I'm very, very fortunate to have that. But they want the best for me. They know I can't go to every single football game. I know I can't hang out every single night because I'm putting in as many hours as I can. I have over 1,000 hours on the DRL simulator working to do this. They recognize that, and they recognize that I'm trying to kind of hit a goal and do what I love doing, and they're very supportive of that, and I really appreciate all my friends that do that. Have you ever crashed in drone racing? I crash in drone racing more than I should. Unfortunately, crashing is a huge part of drone racing, but that's you learning how to fix your drone, learn how to control your mental game, and fly under pressure. That's another thing. It's difficult to perform under pressure, and a lot of newer, younger kids kind of crack under pressure. I mean, like that's you taking a test under like the ACT, for example. It's very, very intimidating. But if you can learn how to perform under pressure, you will do very, very well in life. So yes, I have crashed, and I don't like crashing, but I've had to learn to overcome that. Do you consider this an expensive sport? I would say yes, it can be an expensive sport. But relative to like go-kart racing or anything like fishing, etc., it's I'd say about the same price or cheaper for sure. You can get a drone controller for $75, no problem. You get a simulator for like $20, and that can be you ready to go flying for less than $100. And then after that, if you find something you like and enjoy, then you can totally, without a doubt, get on and go start flying yourself. If you enjoy it, you can find YouTubers and all these Instagram pilots and find your kind of heroes in drone racing. And then after that, people like myself, you're more than welcome to message me or do any of that. And we're more than happy to help you get into drone racing, as it's something I really enjoy. There's a great community all over the world that does it. And yeah, so it can go, I'd say, so this drone that we sell, all up, you're looking at about $350 for a drone. This is a high performance drone. This is a best of the best drone. I'd say $350 to $400 for the absolute best of the best. You do have to buy that $75 controller, and then you have to buy a few like startup things. You have to buy the goggles, which are the most expensive thing at $350 to $400, and then like chargers and batteries, which can add up. But I'd say you can get into drone racing for under $1,000 if you're a budget and you buy good stuff from the very beginning. Keep going here. I'm gonna try and wrap up as fast as I can, but if you guys keep spitting out questions, I'm gonna answer as many as I can. What's your favorite subject? I actually love, I know you probably hear the classic math, science, etc., and I do love math and science. I'm actually terrible at math. I really am. And I wanted to be an engineer for so long, but I'm super bad at math, and I worked so hard for it. I tried to apply all that same work ethic and stuff towards math, and I got tutors, etc. I never really got to very good at math. And that goes to show I don't need to lie to myself. I need to just realize that math might not be my thing and try and pursue other things. So right now, my favorite subject I'd say is economics. I love learning about how the world works and how the economy works. And that's just, it might not be what you guys would have expected, but that is kind of what I am interested in right now. Let's see. This isn't your real, this is my room. This is my real background. So there's some trophies back there from past drone races, etc. Which is pretty funny. Favorite subject, homemade, yes. How did you become a professional racer? I have acquired sponsors over the years through winning races and kind of growing my social media platforms. I got on the DRL by winning the multi-GP championships 2 years in a row. And after that, they want to have the 12 best pilots in the world. So they selected me, fortunately. And that is how I got on the DRL. They host a tryout every single year flying on their simulator where you can get on the sim, win a simulator race, and you can be on the show. One of the guys who's one of the top runners right now, his FPV name is Amari. And he got on through flying a video game, essentially, the Drone Racing League simulator, got on the show through that. And that is so cool. So you guys too could be on the DRL if you get on the sim, work really hard at it, kind of find that passion for it. And it kind of goes to show that you can achieve that if you work really hard for it. I saw a good one here. Do you consider it hard, is what someone said. Yes, drone racing is difficult. Drone racing itself may not be the most difficult thing in the world. However, you'll find this as you go on in life, if you want to be the best at something, everyone wants to take you down. Everyone wants to get to your spot, be where you are. And that is what's difficult, is maintaining that kind of epitome, trying to stay at the top. That is what's difficult. But getting there is a long journey. And if you stay driven and you stay passionate about it, then you can totally do it. But it's just, drone racing itself might not be the most difficult thing in the world. It is challenging, yes, and you will have to practice hard at it. But you can totally go out and be a amateur drone racer with just a little bit of practice, especially all you young kids. You guys pick up on things like crazy. I was very fortunate to pick it up very quickly, and I know you guys are extremely talented and smart, and you can pick it up in no time, probably faster than I could. Yes, that was in US dollars. Thank you for answering that, Alex. What drone do you use in the simulator? I fly the Racer 4, which is what we fly on DRL. Don't worry, I brought one of those for you too. So this is the Racer 4. This is what we fly on the Drone Racing League. It is a obviously much larger drone, and it is a big, heavy drone. It's filled with LEDs, and this is what we fly in the simulator. So it's called the Racer 4, the official drone for the Drone Racing League. Now, if you're not on the Drone Racing League, my company, we came out with what's called the Tiny Trainer. So as you can see, they resemble each other quite a bit. And the Tiny Trainer is a miniature DRL drone that we created for me to practice. It is available on from my company, fly523.com, and you can get yourself. We sell the frame and the motors. We have all the parts listed to where you can buy it and build it yourself. And this is the Tiny Trainer. So it's a cute little thing, very small, very inexpensive and durable. And this is actually what I do a lot of training for DRL with, like in my backyard or in my garage even. I can practice with something like this that can help me do the best I can in DRL moving forward. I'm sure that's going to spark some questions. Let's keep going. My thing keeps scrolling up. Do you want to help others achieve their dreams? Yes, of course, I want to do the best I can in life, and I want to go as far as I can. However, I think that there's so much potential in the world that's not being used by especially kids who kind of follow the path, and you'll make it goal or outline. But if you guys are willing and able to go outside of those boundaries and take the risks, then you can go really far. And I want to kind of let that be known and let you guys know that I'm just a normal 17-year-old, like I explained, and I was willing to take a few risks, do my research, and was able to do things that I'm very happy and fortunate to do. And people just have to realize they can do that too, because I'm no different than anyone else. Who inspired you to do drone racing? My local friend down the street, his name was Sam Pankratz, one of my best friends to this day. He got me into drone racing. And after that, it's something I found to be very fun and exciting. And after that, it was myself, just pushing myself to go as hard as I can, because I knew I wanted to be good at this. I hate losing. As I said, I'm very competitive. And I kind of just wanted to push myself to be the best that I could possibly be. How did he inspire? He just showed me what drone racing is, and kind of having that friend who you could do it with. Of course, you know, playing chess is not fun without a friend or someone for doing it, or someone to do it with. But if you can find a friend to kind of do it with you, or who's willing to help you out, or if you're on the simulator and you can kind of battle against each other and beat each other's times, you can find that community and those friends. It is that's what's trying to push me to do drone racing and got me inspired to keep going. Is your friend a professional drone racer too? This is a funny question. So he got in drone racing before I did. He was very, very good, and I got into it after him. He inspired me to do it a lot, and I eventually, as I said, he's a aerospace engineer at the University of Tennessee right now. So he went on to do much bigger and better things that I'm very, very proud of him. He's one of the most hardworking people I've ever met, and I kind of took to drone racing and went really, really hard at it. And he kind of, in his point in his life, went towards the engineering route, which is super, super cool. I'm very proud of him for all the stuff he's done, and I'm thankful for all he's done for me. But he's not a professional drone racer currently. And I'm sure we're ready. What's next for you in terms of where you're going next? You know, I actually had a big conversation about this last night with a close friend of mine, and where I want to go is I don't know. I want to pursue. I want to find something drone related that I can turn into I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll be a professional drone racer for the rest of my life, and that would be a dream come true. And it's totally something I would love to do, but it might not be the most possible thing in the world, and that's okay. But if I can leverage what position I'm in right now and kind of recognize where I am right now and put that towards starting a business or doing another business or going something more mainstream as far as starting a business or owning a restaurant or getting involved some way like that, and take that same knowledge that I have and have been fortunate enough to get, I just have to realize that I have a lot of amazing opportunities right now and have a lot of amazing experiences not many people have right now, and I can apply that towards something in real life and stay ahead of the game. Staying ahead of the competition is huge always. I know that big companies like DJI, etc., are always trying to stay ahead of the competition, and that is just, if you can start out and have that head start over people, where you could started out and you started that business before everyone and you started working towards that ahead of everyone, and you can stay ahead. And I've been very fortunate to have done that at a young age. It's where I hope to do that leading forward and stay ahead of the curve. And that can lead to someone being very successful and happy in life, as long as you're passionate about what you're doing. Is flying a drone in a game similar to flying in real life? Yes, it's a video game, yes, but it's a simulator. It is. I'll be done soon, I promise. And it's a simulator. It's meant to be a real life emulation of what a drone is, and it is very, very accurate. All right, this is my last question. I'm gonna answer it. I appreciate you guys so much for staying engaged. It was called the Drone Racing League Simulator. I'm sure on future meetings, Alex knows all about this. I know. So he will be happy to answer your questions, as well as you can answer mine. Again, Heads Up FPV on Instagram. If you want to ask me any questions, more than welcome to ask. I'm happy to answer. Did an accident ever happen to me with drone racing? I've been very fortunate to have very minimal accidents, and safety is a big thing in drone racing. So I am very happy to say that accidents are to a minimum. And my last question is, what other sports do you like? I'm a big football fan. I actually came from playing soccer. I played soccer all the way up to my freshman year of high school from a very young age. And I brought that same competitive nature into drone racing. And it's kind of trying to take that same competitive nature, not through drone racing or any sports, but into business and into school and into other things in life. And that is, that is what I'm interested in. Thank you guys so much for staying and talking to me, or being very active in the chat. I didn't expect that at all, so I hope I didn't put you guys to sleep. But I had a great time talking to you guys. Again, if you want to see me on TV, I promise you might get a little bit scared, because I tend to scream a lot when I'm on DRL, and I get very, very excited when I'm on in the show, because it's so competitive. But if you guys want to watch, it'll be 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, Sunday. And then, of course, if you want to see the rest of the season, it's on the Drone Racing League. .com. You can see our full season. You can learn a little bit more about me. And again, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at headsupfpv. My company, we're doing a Black Friday sale soon. If you want to get into drone racing, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. We can hopefully get you involved. Or even if you just have questions about doing any sort of business venture or doing anything, I'm happy to help you guys. I want to be as accessible as possible to all of you, and to kind of push you guys to go out and do it. And just you have to remember, the worst thing that can happen is that it can say no, it can fail. But as long as you just try, then that you'll be proud of yourself. As long as you go out and you run in the evening and you just go do it, then that will be huge. And I really, really want you guys to do that. And I hope all of you the best. So yeah, Alex, if you want to take over whenever, you're more than welcome to.
Thank
But
you
again,
for all that.
opportunity. And Alex is a great guy. You guys should really listen to him. And Alex, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing some amazing things. And I hope to see you guys soon.
Well, thank you for that, Evan. That was excellent. I know the kids really loved that. I guess one last quick question, hopefully. What's a drone race like? Like when you get there, what's it like?
Yeah, so a drone race is super intense. If you guys have ever been to any sort of big sporting event or anything like that, there's like at the very beginning, I call it like the whispers. Everybody has the butterflies in their stomach. Everybody's nervous. Qualifying is about to start. And I find I get the same rush every single time. So right now, this is a perfect example. I have a drone race tomorrow on TV, big race in front of millions of people, but I have to do qualifying first. So literally in 8 minutes, I have to get on a call and get into the Drone Racing League simulator, get in qualifying, and I have 30 minutes to do the best I can, competing against the 11 other best pilots in the world. And that is that's stressful. I was practicing late last night, as I was telling Alex, and I just want to perform the best I can. That means I'll do my qualifying tomorrow, 1:30 around noon-ish. I'll have to get into the call, get ready to go, and after that, it's just about keeping calm, doing the best I can, and just knowing that whatever happens, happens. But as long as I do my best, then that's the best I can ask for. Daniel, you said, I hope you win. I appreciate that. And I hope you guys do the best you can. Good luck. Have a great rest of your week. And I hope to see you guys and being successful. And if you are, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear your success story and all that. So I hope this was not too boring or anything, but I had a great time talking to you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So have a great rest of your day.
All right, thank you once again. Now I'm gonna let the Ashcroft Academy make an announcement to their students, and then after that we'll let Austin talk for some final words. So Ashcroft, if you're ready, go ahead. And thank you once again, Evan.
Yep, I'm gonna head out, guys. I got some qualifying to do, but have a great day, guys. See ya.
Let's see. I thought I muted. I said, all right, just sent to unmute if you wanted to say something. Let's. All right, I guess we'll just move on to Austin for some final words. And yeah, I hope everyone likes this so far.
Hey, yeah, definitely gonna go back to Ashcroft after this. But first, I wanted to say, great job, Alex. Hope everybody got something from our panelists today, whether it was hearing from Romeo about different opportunities to impact public safety, or Josh and pre-flight checks, and then of course Evan talking about entrepreneurship and inspiring you all, the next generation, to achieve your best and to pursue your dreams. Hope you all got a lot out of that. As you know, this is the Global Air Drone Academy. Our mission is to bridge the gender and race divide and activate the next generation of drone pilots, which is you all. So we're happy that you all could join us. And I want to say kudos to our panelists and kudos to Alex for running a tremendous show. I'd give you a round of applause, but I feel like that's kind of awkward on Zoom. So I think everything went well today. And if you all have any questions, we'll stick around for a few minutes. But let's go back to Alex and see if we can get them to make some announcements. Which one was going to speak? You know, Alex?
Oh, yes. Hello. Can you...
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now.
This is an announcement for the wonderful Ashcroft students. There's so many of them online right now, and I just wanted them all to hear this instruction. First of all, thank you very much for joining this session. I hope you learned a lot. So that I can write you a praise email for your excellent participation this session, could you please send me the word attended with your form on Show My Homework, and then I'll make sure the right praise email gets mentioned, and you'll all get 5 house points as bonus as well. Thank you. That was a great session. Thank you.
Well, I hope everyone enjoyed that, and thank you all for participating. I know I had fun. I hope you had fun, and we're hopefully going to have more special guests in the future. So look forward to that, and we'll see you at the next virtual Drone Club session. So have a nice day and have fun. Fly safe.